Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and while everybody's talking about the Bitcoin ETF being approved, which is big, we always knew it was going to open the door not just to Bitcoin, but all of crypto, and then it's going to light the spark that gets this fintech, in my opinion, fintech slash AI slash tech IPO boom going. That's what I've always believed. Here it is, the very day after the Bitcoin ETF, Circle announces confidential submission of draft registration statement for proposed initial public offering. So here we go, folks, and guess who just happens to have Circle private equity on the platform? They just added some more yesterday, and I am a Circle private equity owner, by the way. They just added some yesterday, and they've got more on the platform right now, so you might want to go check it out. Then in crypto, looky what we have here. We've got a $1.8 trillion market. That's the highest it has been in the last 3 years, is my understanding. We've got an XRP that's up 10.87%. Me likey that. All right, now let's go into some of the Bitcoin stuff. Now, Brad Garlinghouse is 1,000% right here, folks. Significance of this moment. Look, folks, since I got in this in 2013, yesterday was the day that I had dreamed of since 2013. I will admit, I was a little irritated. I'm still, and you are too, irritated with the idea that we've been lied to and had this media carrying this Bitcoin Ethereum narrative, and it wasn't right for it to be Bitcoin first. It wasn't right. It's not right for Ethereum to even be in the conversation after everything we've uncovered. But that I set aside, because what's important is this Bitcoin ETF opens the door. It opens the door, and it establishes that we've been right all along. Wall Street is now open for business, and this is going to snowball everything. And when you finally get a utility digital asset like XRP, and they turn that on, that is the final nail in the coffin of really everything. Why would you own anything if you have a slow rising digital asset like XRP, where it's slowly rising due to utility and the speculators realize it and start flocking in? Why would you be in anything else? That's the moment I think is coming. Brad Garlinghouse says the significance of this moment cannot be overstated. Congrats to all who have worked to get Bitcoin spot ETFs approved. Today's news is further legitimization of crypto as an asset class. I expect this will be yet another catalyst for institutional investment adoption, ideally leading the industry to focus outside primarily speculative to broader real-world use cases and underpinning that legitimization. Then we've got this. Here's the squawk about the CNBC guys.
And I know you just did a big interview. We're not going to take all of it. You got your own show tomorrow morning, Andrew. We get it, but it's a big one.
It is. And it is because I did speak with the Coinbase's CEO, Brian Armstrong, in the last hour. It was a first on CNBC following the SEC decision. And we want to show you just a piece of it for now, because I asked him about the way he sees this in terms of the magnitude of the moment.
This is a monumental step for the crypto industry and for Coinbase too. And the reason is that, look, there's 52 million Americans who have been using crypto over the past decade. And I think they've been hungry for some kind of acknowledgement from government and the SEC in particular that this asset class is here to stay. And they finally got that. It took a long time. I want to give a big shout out to Grayscale, which is one of the firms that pursued this in the court to finally get it to fruition, but it finally happened. We had a number of ETFs approved today. And of course, it was a big day for Coinbase too, because we were named as the custodian in 10 out of 13 of these applications. So I think this means that over time, we'll see new pools of capital come into Bitcoin. But more importantly, we had a huge regulatory milestone that showed the legitimizing power of this industry.
Okay. The industry has been legitimized. That's what's important. Now the stamp's on there. These are the ones that were approved. We'll get more on that later. Then we've got this. Eleanor Terra, this is Gary Gensler's statement. We won't go into that. Gary Gensler begrudgingly came in and approved the thing. So there he is. Then Meta Lawman Hester Pierce also did her own write-up and tore Gary a new one. Meta Lawman summarizes it, and Hester Pierce just issued another scorcher excoriating Gary Gensler's leadership. Our arbitrary and capricious treatment of application in this area will continue to harm our reputation far beyond crypto. We have alienated a generation of product innovators in this space. That doesn't mean anything to Gary, and I corrected her I said, I think you're spot on, Hester Pierce. Only one problem. You assume that Gary is working for the United States. It doesn't take much research to realize who he and his buddies really answer to. It's that country that starts with a C. And JP Morgan, okay? Because remember, the Wall Street bankers, the JP Morgans, they don't view China the way you and I do out here as being, communist. They view it as, oh, this is a new global order that we're all going to be in. We got to work with them. That's how they look at it. They don't look at it and say, wait a minute, we can't have them blackmailing all of our politicians. They see it as just the way it is. This is how you know Gary's puppet masters have instructed him that now he had to approve the Bitcoin ETF, because his two ideologues that have been voting along with him, Crenshaw and Lazaraga, they voted down. Hester Pierce and this person, Ayuda, and Gary Gensler voted for the ETF. Here's the two that voted against it. Might want to remember those faces. Then here's Perry Ann Boring talking about the Bitcoin ETF.
How important will this Bitcoin ETF actually be?
This is an incredible and historic moment for Bitcoin for a number of reasons. For one, it took 10 years to get here. For over 10 years, Bitcoin funds have been working to bring spot Bitcoin ETFs to market, and they were blocked for over a decade. It literally took the industry taking the SEC to court. The industry won, which really paved the way and forced the SEC's hand for the approvals that we're expecting today. So just to overcome that incredible journey of the SEC being charged with being arbitrary and capricious and really bringing to light that they've discriminated against Bitcoin as an asset class is one important victory. But also what's so important about spot Bitcoin ETFs is it allows for Bitcoin to be accessible to so many more people. ETFs are one of the most popular investment vehicles for both retail and institutional investors. Over $7 trillion are invested in ETFs currently. Now people will be able to get exposure and be able to allocate to the best performing asset in the market today, and doing it with the support and the advice of their financial advisors. Because we did not have publicly listed spot Bitcoin products, investors would have to navigate this interesting and different world of cryptocurrency on their own. And now they will be able to be guided with the financial advisory, which is so critical for mainstream adoption.
Okay. And then, of course, Joe Lubin stuck his head out of his hole yesterday to come and tell another untruth.
Okay, but let's take that out of the equation then for a second. Let's talk about Ethereum. Have you spoken to the SEC recently and gotten any indication that you are next on the docket? No.
They don't tell us their intentions.
Well, the reason I ask is because I think over the last several months there's been clear indications or signaling or something going on where people seem to know or think they know about what's happening as it relates to Bitcoin and ETF.
Yeah, so we're like maybe like the secretary in 1997 or the builders of the email systems in 1993. We have direct hands-on to making the technology and making the technology usable. We are much less focused at consensus on sort of more traditional financial instruments, enabling the mainstream to get access to that too.
So he's not interested in the financial aspect of this. He's not interested in creating token factories, or he's not worried about staking, lending, ETFs, or maybe creating an SEC-enabled monopoly. He's not interested in any of those financial related things. He's only interested in building. And I still have an igloo in South Georgia. It's a mansion igloo, and it is for sale, and it'll melt in 24 hours, but it is a great purchase for you and your family. Speaking of people that are full of it, here's Anthony Pompliano.
11 Bitcoin ETFs are going to begin trading today after the SEC approved their applications. The move overturned a decade of the regulator's opposition to the idea. Not sure what any of this means, though, when, right, Pomp will talk about it, but when they finally say it's okay, maybe, we've talked about it, maybe it's over. Maybe all the people that got in there early now say, I'm going to offload it to the sheep that can now get in with the ETF.
Well, I think in the short term, there are clearly people who've been buying up in the last 3 months on the expectation of this. And the question is, no, longer term, maybe a very different story.
Do hodlers ever sell? I don't know.
I don't think hodlers ever sell, but I do think this is a historic moment in the sense of it's the first time that the internet and Wall Street, they've had this healthy tension for a couple of years, even a couple of decades. And it's the first time Wall Street blinked, right? Think of it. It's an internet-based asset that now is being arms wrapped around it by Wall Street. And to your point,
now I want you to think that through, because I cover in the group at daixrp.com. I'm gonna, I've said for years, and look, I think the Bitcoin ETF is great. This opens the door for the whole industry, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to tell you the truth about what's really going on here. For years, I've been pointing out that a lot of these people are narrative carriers for the media and the government, and that a lot of them are operatives. I've always thought he was one of them. In the group today, I'm going to show you some stuff about Anthony Pompliano. I'll show you part of the reason I think part of the many reasons I think that he's an operative. I actually met him. Actually, I'll tell you that story in daixrp.com as well. But listen, just think this through for a minute, folks. Here's Anthony Pompliano. What show is he on? He's on CNBC. These are the same. This is Wall Street. Think about what he's saying. He's like, this is, well, let's play it again. Here's what he said about Wall Street.
but I do think this is a historic moment in the sense of it's the first time that the internet and Wall Street, they've had this healthy tension for a couple of years, even a couple of decades, and it's the first time Wall Street blinked.
Right. So he's trying to position this as this is us versus Wall Street. CNBC is Wall Street, folks. Why does CNBC have Anthony Pompliano on at like all the time? Gary Gensler, they'll have him on all the time. They will not say the word ETH. They will not talk about how Satoshi met with the four Satoshis met with Homeland Security. None of these, they're all in the same group. That's why I say this is not Wall Street versus crypto and Bitcoin. Wall Street's on, they're all on the same team. And I think I can prove it with regard to him, or I can at least show you an indication. Hey, this guy. Remember, this guy's ex-military. I've always thought he was military intelligence. I'm going to tell you the story about when I met him in the group today at daixrp.com, and I'll kind of tell you some things, my observations. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family, daixrp.com, and away we go.